everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to the most exciting episode of Made to Order a la Orden. Today I'm going to show you how to make Sancocho Dominicano, which is the #1 requested video here on my channel. Now, Sancocho is a Dominican staple, which is right up there with Berni and Mango. But before we even kind of jump into this amazing dish, I do want to caveat a few things. Number one, Sancocho is typically made with like 7 different meats, but today I'm only going to use 5. But I encourage you to use however many different meats you want and whatever kinds of different meats. So if you don't eat pork and you just want to make a Sancocho solely with chicken, go ahead and knock yourself out. I've actually done that myself and it's always delicious. Now, moving on to these guys right here. Some of you guys are probably like, what is that? I don't know what half of that stuff is. And listen, I don't blame you. These guys right here are root vegetables, which throughout the video, you'll hear me refer to them as los viveres. Now, some of these root vegetables are just unique to the Caribbean and Hispanic countries. So if you don't live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of Hispanics or Caribbeans, some of these root vegetables may actually be really hard to find. But don't worry, because I have you guys covered. So I'll have a list of some substitutions and I'll also have a list of which of these guys you just simply cannot substitute. Now, Sancocho varies house to house, region to region, person to person, but that doesn't mean you cannot have fun with it. In fact, because of all the different variations, I encourage you to freestyle. And when you do, make sure you invite over the neighbors, the in-laws, your friends, and your family, because this dish honestly can feed a village. And not to mention, it does take a really long time to make. So have some patience. But like always, patience is always rewarded here on my channel because those recipes tend to be the tastiest. Let's go ahead and get started. Sancocho traditionally has 7 meats, but today we're going to be using 5, and we're also going to be using some awesome viveres. Now keep in mind, you do not want to substitute the Platano, Yuca, or the Auyama. We're also going to make an amazing marinade, which is going to serve as a foundation of flavor for the Sancocho. And of course, we're also going to add some fresh ingredients, which is only going to add to that amazing flavor. Now, first things first, I do like to wash the meat before we even get started on the marinade. So I essentially put all of the meats into one huge mixing bowl, and then I add some fresh lemon juice or lime juice, whichever one will do. And then I add a ton of vinegar. The more, the merrier, because this really helps clean the meat. And last but not least, I also like to add some cold water. Now, washing the meat is going to help get out some of that gamey flavor from the meat, and I encourage you guys to use some gloves simply because it's a little bit more sanitary. Now, I also like to let the meat sit in this liquid for about 20 to 30 minutes before rinsing it again. Now we're going to move on and we're going to start making the marinade. So we're going to add some onions, some peppers, some garlic, some chicken bouillon cube, Dominican oregano, fresh thyme, and black pepper to taste. And of course, we cannot forget to add that sour orange juice, which by the way, you can make by using equal parts oranges to limes, or you can just use limes all together. And last but not least, we're also going to add some olive oil to really help this marinade come together. And we're going to blend it until it's nice and smooth and velvety. So once the marinade is done, we're going to go ahead and start to actually season our meat. We're going to add that whole entire marinade, and we're going to dig in there with our hands or a large mixing spoon, whichever one you have, and we're going to massage that awesome marinade into the meat. And you're going to want to let the meat marinate for at the very least 3 to 4 hours or even overnight, but no more than 2 days. Now we're going to add some oil into a pot, and once that gets really nice and hot, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the meat. Now, the meat is not going to brown the way it typically does whenever we're making like a pollo guisado or even some oxtails, simply because there's just too much meat. You want to go ahead and make sure you get all that marinade in there, and the meat is going to start to stew and release its own juices, and that's what's going to give this sancocho that amazing flavor. So be sure to give it a stir every now and then after about a few minutes, about 5 minutes, you're going to want to go ahead and cover it and cook it covered for about 15 to 20 minutes. And after those 15 to 20 minutes, we're gonna give it another stir, and we're actually going to take out the chicken. Now, remember, we are using about 5 different meats and they all cook at different rates, and chicken is the one that actually cooks the quickest. So we're gonna take it out, because if we were to leave it in, by the end of your sancocho, you're not gonna have any chicken left. The chicken would have shredded and turned into nothing. So trust me on this one. So we're gonna take the chicken out, set it to the side, and now we're going to add a ton of water. You wanna add enough water so that it covers your sancocho completely, and then we're gonna add some more chicken bouillon cube. We're gonna go ahead and add some onions and peppers, and you wanna leave them cut really nice and big because you'll see why later on. We're also going to add some fresh thyme and some recao, and I'm using both kinds, the CIlantro and the CUlantro. And we're gonna let this simmer and boil for about an hour and 20 minutes. Now, I do want to note that that orange pepper is unique to me, and you can use just green peppers. I just feel like that orange pepper really helps develop flavor. Now, while that's boiling, we're gonna go ahead and prepare our viveres. And we're gonna wanna place them in water with salt, because that's gonna help them keep from oxidizing, and it's also gonna help them keep their color when we do add them to the sancocho. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're actually going to clean our sancocho after that hour and 20 minutes or that hour and a half. So we're gonna take out the recao, the onions and peppers, and any oil that may have collected on the very top. We're gonna add half of the Auyama, and we're gonna let that boil, because adding the Auyama at the very beginning is going to help that color develop, because sancocho has this vibrant green color, and adding the Auyama really helps that color develop. So once the Auyama has dissolved, we're now going to add our chicken back in, because our sancocho is finally coming together and it's almost ready to eat. So be sure to mix that in, and now we're going to add the rest of the viveres. So we're gonna add the yautia, we're also going to add the ñame, and we're going to add my personal favorite, which is the yuca. So once you've added those viveres, we're gonna add some more water, because you want there to be enough water to cook those viveres so they get nice and soft. And after about 20 to 30 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and add the last of our viveres, so the auyama and the plátano. Now, we add those at the very end, because just like the chicken, they cook at a much different rate than the rest of the viveres. They cook a lot quicker. So if we were to add them at the very beginning with the rest of the viveres, they're going to turn into nothing and actually dissolve. So there you guys have it, my recipe for making this amazing sancocho. Do keep in mind that in total, this sancocho took me about 3 to 3.5 hours to make. So be sure you give yourself enough time to make this amazing dish. If you have any questions on this dish, visit my website or follow me on social media. And I can't wait to see you guys next week with an all new video. Buen provecho, guys. Oh my God, babe, I forgot one ingredient. Should I tell them they'll probably need this caldero? And the uglier the better, because the tastier it'll be? Yeah?